Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, wherever you are in the world. I'm really happy you're joining me on this another video for Sitefinity. And this one is about image optimization. How many times you've been to websites that the page is taking several seconds to load? And it's not only maybe because they're not bundling CSS and JavaScript and minification and so on, but it's mainly because they're using huge images on the site. We see people actually using 1, 2, 3, 4 megabyte worth of images on the site. That is a huge amount for the site. And these images sometimes, when they're JPEGs or PNGs or others, contain so much information that are useless for a website. Things like EXIF information, like what camera model and what the serial number of the camera that took it, and some weird metadata that nobody ever sees on the website, but it actually makes the size of the image huge, 1, 2, 3, 4 megabyte, which is definitely not a good idea. How do we actually handle something like this for a production website that needs to work very fast? A lot of people use tools like Visual Studio or other tools on the web to go to a folder that has like maybe 100 different images in it, right click on it saying optimize that folder with all the images. And they do that on physical images in a folder, and then these are the ones that they're gonna upload. But sometimes we don't have that luxury in Sitefinity. Sometimes these images are in the database, and I don't wanna do something separate before or after a build or anything like that. I want, whenever I upload an image to the database, I wanna optimize it on the fly. An image that is 1 or 2 megabyte, I wanna bring it down to be 400 maximum. Hopefully it's less than 30K, but again, if you need that huge resolution, for instance, and the size is pretty big, you want to run it through something on the fly before it goes into the database to do the job. And we are lucky there is a lot of tools out there that have APIs that will allow you to do that. Companies like the Kraken.io, company like Tinify, all of these third-party companies will allow you to optimize images on the fly using APIs. So, do we have to write all the code in Sitefinity to do that ourselves? No. There is a project on GitHub that the Sitefinity team have built several years ago to do image optimization in Sitefinity. Unfortunately, it has not been updated for a while, since 14.0, so it's been over 2.5 or 3 years so far. But it's easy to actually get the code and actually change all the packages to use the latest one. Right now I'm on 15 something. So we can actually update, get a new DLL, new assembly for the image optimization and use it with our latest and greatest. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. Right now, as you can see behind me, there is a website I just created right before this video, just because I want to spend some time creating a website, but it's completely empty. I have no pages, no content in it whatsoever. And right now, when I run this website, I can actually upload an image to one of my libraries in the database. However big the size is, 1, 2, 3 megabytes for the image, that's exactly how the bits are going to go into the database, and it will contain exactly the same amount of size. There is no optimization whatsoever. So let's go ahead and take a look at that, how that works. All right, there is a Sitefinity site running. I'm going to go to content, click on images, and we don't have any images yet, but let's go ahead and upload one really quickly. I'll say upload an image from my computer. And we'll go to a folder like this one under my pictures backgrounds. I have some images here of Las Vegas and Bora Bora, but they're pretty big images. Not that big, but still pretty big. 1 megabyte, and this one is about 800 kilobyte. These are huge. The intent here, the dimension for this one, for instance, is 2000 by 1335. That's pretty big. And also this one is 1500 by 1000. That's not a problem. The problem is in the size. It means if you have 1,000 people coming to your website, you're forcing everybody to download 1 megabyte or 800 kilobyte for only one image on one of your pages. And if you have 3 or 4 of these images, that will definitely make the website suffer as far as performance, because they all have to download. Even after caching, when they delete the caching, still too big. We would like to find a way to make this much, much better and optimize. If I click on the Las Vegas image, for instance, in here, I'll say open this guy. I will upload it. Remember, it says it's about 980 something kilobyte, which is 1 megabyte pretty much. If I upload it to the database, it will upload it as is. All the bits in the database will still be the 1 megabyte. So if I click on it in here, notice it's still 967 kilobyte, 1500 by 1000 pixels. It's okay. It will work, but of course, for scalability and for performance, we do not want to upload something that big. What can we do based on that? So I'm going to go backwards here just to show you something very interesting. You might not have encountered it yet. If I go to administration under settings, You will notice here if I click on Advanced section, we click on Advanced, all the way on the left halfway through there is something called Libraries. So we'll go here to Libraries, there it is, and there is a lot of different configuration for libraries like image libraries and document libraries and video libraries. One of them is called File Processors, and this is an awesome feature. It means you can upload your own file processor to say, when I upload a file that has a PDF extension or a JPEG or a GIF or SVG or whatever, I would like to do something before you keep going. Before you put it in the database, it has to run through my processes. So if I open up this file processor out of the box in Sitefinity, we automatically get one called SVG Sanitizer. Because SVGs are awesome regarding keeping the resolution no matter how much you change the size. People love SVGs, but nothing is perfect in life. SVGs unfortunately have the capability of embedding attributes and script in it that can be very malicious. So what Sitefinity did, they created their own file processor. If you're uploading an SVG that has some scripting or some attributes that could be malicious, the sanitizers will remove all that stuff. So sometimes we notice that SVGs that have animations do not really work with animations. It would be a still image in Sitefinity, and that's because all of that stuff has been removed. If you do it in a different way without adding scripting, it will stay. But anything that the sanitizer thinks is malicious or should not be uploaded will not be part of the SVG once it's uploaded to the database. That is built in. Is there a way for me to add more file processors? Yes, there are NuGet packages out there that you can download that will bring in some more file processors, or you can implement it yourself if you would like. There's a couple of interfaces, couple of functions have to be implemented to tell it when does it need to kick in, when it's enabled, and also what it's supposed to do to process the image or the file or whatever it is that you're uploading to the database. Some people, for instance, will create a file processor saying, for all JPEG and PNGs, whenever you upload one, I would like you to insert my company's watermark logo on the right bottom of the page, of that image. It means I don't want my images to be stolen. I don't want people to download my images and put them in their own website. So if you put that watermark on every single image that gets uploaded, if people download that, you'll be able to prove that this is your image. You can do that if you want to using a file processor. In my example in here, I would rather create one for Kraken.io, which is a third-party company, and another one called Tinify, which is another company that both of them are very well known to do image optimization, not only for Sitefinity, but for anybody, any CMS system out there or any website that would like to optimize this on the fly. So let's go ahead and see how we can do that. All right, let me go ahead and go to this github.com. GitHub.com, Sitefinity, and the name of the project is Sitefinity Image Optimization, okay? I'm going to be putting that also in the description of the video on YouTube, so you can actually get to it easily as well. You will notice there are two projects in here. One is a simple Sitefinity website, and the other one is a project. It's a project that will implement everything you need for a progress of Sitefinity image optimization for Kraken and for Tinify as well. The only problem is, notice these have not been touched for over 3 years. The last version is 14.0.7700. Right now I'm running 15 something, so this will not work out of the box. I will have to clone this project, and I will need to upgrade my Progress Sitefinity image optimization to the latest version, which is 15 something. And now I can actually use that assembly with the rest of my application written in 15 something as well. Alrighty, but the good news is the code, most of it is right here, and I'm not going to go through this code in this video, but maybe in another video we'll go through the code to explain exactly all the interfaces and the functionality that has to be overridden to be able to create a correct file processor inside of Sitefinity. All right, so after I cloned everything, I ended up with the solution in here. It contains two projects. One is the 14.0 project for Sitefinity, and also the Progress Sitefinity image optimization assembly, which is also based on 14.00. And what I ended up doing, I used the package config and I moved everything to 15.0.8223 or something like that. It doesn't matter. And I upgraded my Progress Sitefinity image optimization to use the latest and greatest from the Sitefinity core of 15 instead of the 14. Once I compile, which is compiled correctly and everything, now I can go ahead and reference it from a different website in 15.0. Make sense? Okay, great. Now we go back to our image optimization. I need to reference that assembly now. So I'm going to go ahead and say right-click reference. We'll say add a reference. and hopefully we'll find the Progress Sitefinity Image Optimization DLL, or click on Browse to find it. I have it in a completely different folder in here where it was when I cloned. I'm going to say this and we'll say OK. All right. While doing that, this will be automatically in here in my references, and I'll go to the piece for progress, and there it is. The image optimization is right there. All right, great. Let's go ahead and close this guy. Right click. I like to always clean, and we'll say image optimization, build that project, and we'll give it a few seconds, and we'll come back when it's done. All right, and now after compiling and waiting a minute for everything to happen, we go ahead and hit the back end of Sitefinity one more time. And I want to go now to administration, and we'll go to settings, and let's see if by including that assembly in the bin folder and referencing it, if that's going to do anything for us. Let's see. We'll click on advanced, and I'm going to go all the way down to libraries. There it is. And a moment of truth, if I click on the file processor, look what happens. Other than the built-in SVG sanitizers, now I get 2 extra sections because of that assembly in the bin folder. The Kraken IO image optimizer, and also the Tinify or Tinify image optimization. I'm going to actually show you how to deal with the Tinify image optimization. When I click on it in here, folks, you will be able to enable it, of course. You give it a description and the type. All the stuff is filled in for you automatically using the configuration sections from the database using that assembly that we have referenced. The important part is to go to the parameters. The parameters, there are 4 of them. There are more in the Kraken one, and we will do that later on. Let me go ahead and disable Kraken for right now. I'm just going to go ahead and make sure whenever I upload an image, the Tinify third-party image optimization is the one that will kick in. So I'm going to click on this again. So what are the parameters? First of all, I will need to go ahead and put what are the extensions of the images that I'm interested in to run this optimization for. Notice there is a JPEG with an E, PNG, and there is a semicolon between each and every single one. If you take a look at the code is actually splitting on a comma or a semicolon or on a pipe. So it doesn't matter really whether you put a comma in between them or a semicolon or a pipe. All of them are being checked to be able to differentiate between all of them. And you can see this in the code on the GitHub as well. The important part, of course, is the API key. You need to open an account. There's a free account that you can open on tinify.com. It's actually called tinypng.com. These websites will take you to the same place. You will be able to paste your API key, and I'm going to show you how to do that in a second as well. The next one is to preserve the metadata. And that's really a big deal for us. So if you don't put anything in here at all, that means it is false. Alrighty, if you say true in here, okay, if you type TRUE in here in lowercase, what you're telling the system is to disable all the metadata preservation. That means any EXIF information, XMP, IPTC tags, any color profile information, all the stuff will be left. If you say true, it will be left in the image. And usually you do not want to do that unless there is a purpose for it. That's why this value is in here. If you leave it like this, that means it's false. That means do not preserve everything. If you see EXIF, XMPs, IPTCs, color palettes, profile information, all the stuff will be stripped, which will make the image much, much smaller. So I would recommend for you to leave this off. Alrighty. The final one is the timeout after. Again, it doesn't tell you much what this value is, but the default is 30 seconds. If you're trying to upload an image to Tinify and it's taking more than 30 seconds to get back, what is the system is going to do? Well, it's not going to wait forever. After 30 seconds, which is the default, it will go ahead and just upload the image as is without any optimization. So at least you'll get something, okay? It doesn't just fail. But if you would like to have more time, you can put here 60, 120, whatever you want. But the default is 30 seconds so that you know what the difference between these things are. All right, now to the fun part. Let me bring in the tiny PNG website in here and maybe dock it somewhere. Let me open it up. This is the tinypng.com website. There is no login. I'm interested in the API. Notice if I click on API in here, I will be able to put in my full name and an email address, and it will get me an API key to use, okay? And it will create an account for me just by doing that. So I'm going to come in here, we'll say Lino Tadros, and my email address as well. Get your API key. We'll click on that, and then I will receive an email. Let me get you the email so you can see what exactly is going to happen in there. All right, it took a couple of seconds, but the email got received, and there is, go ahead and visit your dashboard. We'll click on that, and it will open up the website, and I'll be able to get in. Alrighty, you do not have a developer API key yet. That's because it takes about maybe 30 seconds to a minute, I noticed, when you create an account. But the account has been created for me. We'll give it here another 30 seconds or so, and it will refresh by itself. But I'm going to stop the video. I'll come back in less than a minute once the API key has been generated. And indeed, it took about 35 seconds or so, but now your API account is ready to use. Notice there is an API key in here is disabled. I can go ahead and enable it, or I can create a brand new API key if I want to. I'm going to show you the API key. I don't mind to do that because I'll go ahead and disable it right after creating the video. So there's no harm done. You can't do anything with my API key. It's all good. Alrighty, but notice the first 500 compressions are free, which is more than enough for me to try this out and see how it works. After that, notice it's like $900 for the first maybe 10,000 compressions, and then it's $2,000 for a 10,000 compressions after that. So it's a pretty cheap way of doing it, and it actually does a pretty good job as well. If I go to the overview, notice in here will tell me out of my free 500 compressions, I have not used any at all. So I'm going to go ahead back to the API. And now notice it's active. It takes a minute or two for the whole thing, but again, don't worry about my API key. I'm gonna go ahead and copy this guy into the clipboard. We'll say Control-C this guy, and I'm gonna go back. We'll close all that. I'm gonna go here to my API key for Tinify. We'll say value, and we'll paste this inside of here. All right, let's save the changes. And I wanna make sure that it's enabled. Yes, it is enabled, and the Kraken is not. I'm gonna turn off Kraken, and we'll say save changes. It means whenever I upload an image, only Tinify will kick in at this point. So let's go ahead and save that. And let's go back to the images again. And I'd like to load another image. Let's go ahead and investigate this at this point. We'll go ahead and go to the default library. And this time I'm going to upload a new image. Let's go ahead and say upload an image from my computer. And of course, I want to put my cursor over the image to remind you of what that looks like. I'm going to go to my background folder, and we'll go to the Bora Bora JPEG. Let's put the cursor over it. It's 783 kilobyte. Remember that size, okay? It's almost 800 kilobyte, and it's a 2000 by 1335, which I do not want to change the size and the dimension. I just want to change the amount of kilobyte that is being saved and being displayed on the page. So I'm going to click on that 783 kilobyte. We'll say open this guy up, and right now once I say upload, immediately once you say upload and publish, it's trying to go to the database, but there is a file processor for things that has a JPEG extension. So instead of going directly to the database, now there is an API post is happening directly with Tinify.com, and it's sending it all the bits of that image. The API will automatically try to do its best to compress that image and take all the garbage out of it that doesn't mean anything for an EXIF and all the other stuff. So let's go ahead and do that and see what happens. It's uploading. Hopefully it will not take more than 30 seconds. It shouldn't. But when it comes back, oh, look at that. It actually started account exception. Credentials are invalid. That means there is something still yet with the key. So let me go ahead and fix that key and see what did I do wrong. All right, I think I entered the copy and paste of my key incorrectly. Let's go ahead and fix that. I didn't notice that. You probably noticed it while I was recording. Let's go to settings again, and we'll see what did I do. I made a boo-boo. We'll say advanced. We'll go back to the library section right here, and we'll go to Mr. File Processor, and there's the tiny and the parameters. Let's see what I did. Oh yeah, so all right, I copied something, copied to the clipboard. That is incorrect. Let's go ahead and delete this guy. It just has to be, of course, the value. We'll say save the changes. All right, and hopefully now it will work. We'll say copy a content. We'll go to the image again, and I'm going to say upload an image. And again, our image in here is Bora Bora. It's 783 kilobyte. Let's click on it. We'll say open. And now when I say upload and publish, hopefully it will take less than 30 seconds, and we will not have an error in the code anymore because we don't have a weird credentials with that words copy. Okay, it's done. It works. We'll say close. And let's take a look at something in here that is very special. Look at this. It's 464.85. It's not 783 anymore. It's almost 40% reduction in the size of that image. And notice that the resolution of the image did not take any hit whatsoever. So it still looks pretty good with all the definitions and everything. And it's still 2000 by 1335. So it's definitely a very good idea to actually be able to use an image optimizer like this. So every time you're going to upload an image, whether it's a JPEG with an E or a PNG, it will do the same thing and you don't have to worry about it. The question you might ask, like, what about the hundreds of other images that are already uploaded before I start using an image optimizer? Well, what we did here is not going to affect it because these are only for the new ones being uploaded. What if I want to go back and do this for all the hundreds of images that I uploaded over the last year or so? There is a different way to do that as well. So while we're here, we'll show you how to do that as well. We'll click on settings, we click on advanced again. And instead of going to libraries this time, I'm looking for something that's called image optimization. See, image optimization. If you enable the image optimization schedule task, you'll be running a background task that will use whatever is enabled, whether it's Kraken.io that you've enabled, which I don't. I have actually Tinify. If you enable this, then it will use this schedule to be able to go backwards for all the images in the library, and we'll do this on a schedule. It uses the cron format, which sometimes people find it's weird. This is the default. 0 and 4 stars means on the top of the hour, every hour run. If I move this 0 and make it a 5, that means 5 minutes after the hour, on every 5 minutes after the hour going forward, it will run. Or you can change it based per day, per month, per year, per whatever. Again, this is something you can check on how cron, C-R-O-N, works to actually schedule something like that. And the batch size, it will do 100 images at a time. It will not do, if you have thousands, for instance, it will not do them all at once. It will take batches of 100 if you want. Also logging, if you enable this and you want to see what's going on step by step using the posts, going into the API and so on, turn this on and you will be able to get under the logs, under the app underscore data. You will see that in the logs as well. Anyway, we're not going to turn it on, but if I turn it on, all the images that I uploaded, maybe within the next hour or so, we will get them all because there are less than 100 images, of course, in my library, and they will all be optimized for me as well. So the image optimization one is for the ones that I've uploaded before I did this, and the one that I did for the library are all the ones that will happen from now on whenever you upload an image as well. Hopefully this was useful to you to find out how to deal with this. And by the way, before I leave, I'm going to go back to the API dashboard and we'll click on Overview. And notice it will actually tell you, hey, there is one. You see that image, the Bora Bora one? The system automatically will tell me that, I see you. I see that you've used one of your 500 in here. All right, the compressions at 11% and so on and so forth. So you can come in every week or so and see how you're doing regarding the images being uploaded, how your business analysts are doing. How much did you save the company as far as speed on pages by reducing the percentage of size of images on the website using a utility like this? Hopefully that was useful to you, and wish you best of luck with optimizing your images on your Sitefinity website. Thank you.